Morning. I want to start by first sending my condolences out to the Virginia football program, community, and families. News like that comes across in the world we live in pretty hard and pretty close to our vest. We spend a lot of time with these young men. We've got a lot invested in them and their families, and feel very responsible for the time they have with us. And unfortunately, the last few weeks we've had a couple instances like that in our community, our football community, that impact all of us. And we're all pretty close. It's a small knit group, so again, that's just gut wrenching and disgusting. And I'm just again, prayers and thoughts to that football team, that community, those families. So anyhow, again, I think Friday night we proved again as a team that we can play with anybody when we play well. And we're right there hanging with a really, really effective football team in a lot of ways, and did a lot of really good things. But we've been very, very honest with ourselves now in this full season number 2 in exactly what has to happen to make those games flip over. And I think our guys have taken the message. And now we get to finish the season with 2 games left that are very meaningful for a lot of reasons, with Hawaii being the first one over there. First of all, it's a conference game. Number 2, it's on the road, and I think that tells a lot about the growth of a program. We've proved that on the road, that we've started to play better on the road. We've won on the road, first defending conference champions already this season, and so that's a big step in a program, is to be able to take your program, pack your bags, and go be competitive on the road. The other piece to it, obviously, is it's a regional matchup that's made really important to both communities. You play for a trophy, and that's important. And there's a lot hanging in the balance of this starting with this game. So there's a lot to play for, a lot of different reasons to be encouraged and excited, motivated to get back to work this week as a staff and as a program and as players. And I'm excited to get back in the ground in the morning with these guys and get to work.
Coach, there's already obviously a sense of urgency week in and week out, but now that knowing that you have to win the last 2, is there any different dynamic in the locker room or sense of just what you've picked up from guys with these next 2 coming in?
No. I think that if there's anything that we've set the tone with in this program right away, it's that the sense of urgency isn't something you just flip on. And I think that we've reiterated that as a program since we've got here, is that we're not casual in our approach and the way we practice and the way that we demand our expectations in regards to what we want to do with this football program in this conference, in this country. And I think that that's been very clear, that the expectations and how we play football and how we do things on and off the field as a program is at a high standard, regardless of when and where. It just so happens we're at the end of the season, and it means a lot, and it means something for the first time in a long time. And so that's exciting. And we've talked about that all season long, is to be in position to where you can grow and show what you've asked to do and wanted to do, and here we are. So that's more exciting than it is anything. There may be some anxiety with that, of course. I think that's human nature. You can be outside this program and there's anxiety. I know that. There's probably more outside actually than inside in a lot of ways. And so we've applied pressure to these guys. We demand a lot, and I've been excited about the way they've popped back after last night's meeting, and they'll be fired up to go to this week.
Coach, do you open up the playbook a little bit more? Final 2 games are like playoff games for this program. What's the approach there?
There's a balance. There's a careful balance to that. I think that your playbook depends on who you're playing, what you're able to do, and then obviously in the course of a game it gets changed as well. There's certain games this season that have dictated kind of what we've been able to get done and not get done. And I think if there's any positive to that, it's our guys have responded and had the acumen to be able to do that. An example would be how much pressure we got last week, and then the ability for the offensive line to see some of that stuff, and for the quarterback and to be able to move the ball effectively and run certain things that were had to be dealt with. And we've done that in a couple different places this year. So again, the playbook's going to be open. We're going to be aggressive. We have been. I think that there's going to be nothing we're going to hold back. Be smart and be advantageous in taking advantage of certain things, and be ready to adjust. Because we've seen some things that guys haven't put on film that they're doing against us that they haven't done against other people too. So there's an adjustment phase there too. You got to be careful about putting too much in.
Just to follow up what you were saying a second ago with the anxiety, do you kind of like that, maybe just from a fan base standpoint, that in previous years not being able to be in this predicament or like the situation to get to a bowl bid, do you kind of like having the anxiety where people are tuned in?
Me personally?
Well, yeah, just within the program, or that people on the outside are truly locked in and want this bowl bid pretty bad.
No, I don't know if I kind of born into this thing that way. I don't know if it's something I put at the priority list when I get up in the mornings. I'm excited about any outside pressure or approval. I think we put more pressure internally on ourselves as coaches and a program here than most people would care to even fathom. And I think our guys understand that. And I mean that with the utmost respect. It's not anything that's negative. It's just, or that can minimize your effect. I just think that the guys understand the demand, and I think that that brings out the best in everybody. I think it comes that careful balance between being uncomfortable and comfortable, where that real growth zone happens. And I think that we've tried to trend on that a lot with our guys. The expectations to go to where we want to go, sure, that's exciting. That's what we're here for. You know, that's why we do what we do. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the group, the fans, yeah. But I don't let it dictate the day.
In this past game, you had field goal and touchdown on your first 2 possessions. What were you able to do to have that kind of production early in the game, and how much does that help you when you're able to have that success right away?
Yeah, getting off to a fast start versus good football teams is important, and I think you win the first quarter, you score first, you win the there's a whole bunch of stuff we did. You rushed for 221 yards, you have 56% on P down success, you've got 100% in the red zone, but that's the one thing that kicks off is you need red zone touchdowns. You need one or two of those to be touchdowns, and you need one stop, and that's a different game. And it's on your side. And it's that close when you're playing really good teams. We've talked about it before ad nauseum with my guys in regards to how those are. And we watched 50 plays as a group yesterday as a team on both sides of the ball. And to the naked eye, I'd go, wow, that was a good play. But there's things left out there. There's certain elements of certain plays that create 8-yard plays, but also create touchdowns on one other phase or one element of it without getting too far into it that we've got to take advantage of. And that's just, some of it's just youth. Some of it's just the time and the prep and maybe some rust and guys doing it. But I think that our guys understand how important it is to get to a fast start, how to really go after it and go pound for pound with some of these guys who have had a lot of success in their programs. And I thought that they did that. There's a couple things we went back and I'll be damned if we're not going to work for it every day.
As a play caller, is there anything different about how you're scripting the plays or sequencing them that early in the game? That opening drive you sometimes hear. We'll just talk about that. Is there anything about your process?
Yeah, we've got some openers. We like to script some openers because we think obviously some things that there's a couple of reasons. Number one, you want to get off to a good start. You feel like there's maybe some rhythm plays, some shot plays. You also want to get in certain things that may dictate some elements of the game that are coming forward. You want to see some looks for other plays down the road. You set up some other stuff. So there's a laundry list of things for openers that I think me or other people that I know of, or what we do, I can't speak for everybody else, but what we do, either set that up or put us in rhythm, and then you adjust off of what you think you're going to get or what you get.
When you have Aiden Robbins running like he was in that game, and I also kind of want to ask about just the confidence that you have in with 4th and 1, just put it in his hands, just what impact has he had, and when he's running like that, just how important is that for just the whole group?
I think we've talked about it a little bit earlier. Running the football is so demoralizing. It can be so demoralizing and so uplifting for your team because there's a physicality involved about it. We could see that we were physically aggressive and really doing a nice job at the line of scrimmage. We had converted a couple short yardage with him already. He was running really hard. He's ran really hard for 2 weeks coming off a knee. I mean, he's just been on fire, and so feeding him it's not an issue. And all line knows that we believe in that too, and to be aggressive on those calls. And so it was really good to see him run that way. I mean, you rush for 221 yards, and you're going to be hopefully that works out on your side most of the time. But again, I thought he did a great job. I thought the O-line did a great job. I thought Doug did a great job on the meshes and controlling the backside of some of these runs. The wide receivers did a great job downfield in a quarters defense, digging out some safeties and getting some blocks downfield. So hats off to the offense and in all facets for the rushing game.
What's the next step for Doug Brumfield to kind of get fully back to where he was the first 5 games in terms of accuracy?
Practice, timing, rhythm, elevating this process each week. As a young guy, that's hard. We had a long conversation about last few weeks on what are the things here towards the end of the season that you can do to speed certain things up, pre-snap reads, Post-snap movement, we're seeing a lot of pressure on him. He's, seeing a lot of guys there's a heavy box because he's not accounted for in the run game, and they don't want him to stand back there and throw the ball down the field to Ricky and Kyle a lot. It's put pressure on guys, and I think there's a multitude of reasons. But for Doug, I think it's just a continued process of speeding the game up, getting comfortable with the acumen of pre-snap evaluations of coverages and footwork, timing, rhythm. And he sees those. He sees them. He wants to feed those back. We talked about him a lot. We highlight him a lot. It's a pretty demanding room when it comes to post-game in the quarterback room. So I'm confident, and he's eager to go out and hone those things up and continue to get better.
Coach Daniel Gutierrez, 5 field goals shunned by the Luke Rosa Award. Do you want to just talk about his contributions to the team?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who else deserves more in the country as a kicker than Goot does. He's done such a fantastic job. He's automatic in a lot of ways to set the school records and to do the things he's doing and scoring and really. You talk about what guys do for a football team. I mean, come on. Who scores the most in football? I mean, the kickers do. It's unfortunate. It's kind of a underwhelming evaluation for the people who don't know it best. So he does an awesome job. He is fantastic. He's the best in the country to me.
One more on Brumfield. What do you think of the urgency from him and the entire offense on that final 2-minute drive?
The urgency?
Yeah.
Be more definitive. Define what you mean by it.
Just in terms of the pace.
Pace of it?
Yeah. Was it a little slow at the beginning, or?
No, you got to get it. Yeah, I mean, obviously I think there was an incompletion on one of them, and there was a scramble around on one, so it wasn't, they did a couple things there that put us in a situation where we had some one-on-one blocks, and it had to get off progression. He had to make a play with his feet. He tried to do a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a perfect movement of the ball, but I think we got down there, ended up with a field goal, I believe, and moved it, effectively. There was a couple things in that drive that they did that were really hard that we dealt with, actually. So I think, it wasn't probably our best 2-minute drive, but I think those guys being in that situation, in critical situation, versus a really good opponent on the line is just, again, a game experience, The guy across the ball had been in that for, what is he, like an 8th-year senior or something like that. So Jake sees you're pretty comfortable in that situation. Some guys who do it in Massar. So the more you get it, the better you get.
Coach, last week you talked about just focusing on the fundamentals. Will that be just another emphasis this week, or kind of what are you honing in on these last 2 weeks? Yeah,
and I know sometimes that sounds like a broken record, fundamentals. I've said it since camp. To be more distinct, obviously, there's certain fundamentals at the end of the season that are different than the beginning of the season. Examples of coverage evaluation are fundamentals, of throwing balls in certain coverages we're getting our fundamentals. Picking up certain pressures we're starting to see at the end of the season that we didn't see in the beginning of the season are fundamentals. Certain protection checks, certain packages we're running at the end of the season that we weren't able to get to the beginning of the season. I just use fundamentals as an umbrella, but those are the core elements of our football, and I mean to bring that back to us is kind of what I'm getting at. And so at the end of the season, when I bring it back to us, and right now we're focused on the things that win a football game, that's kind of what I'm getting at. The fundamentals of taking care of the ball 2 weeks ago, and that game's different. The fundamentals of tackling in space in this one. The fundamentals of not letting a 4th down into punt sneak get through and communicate that is fundamental. That's what I mean. Just communications and the fundamentals of football. Nothing too crazy. We won't get too far over our skis late in the season. Focus on what we can really do to hone in to be able to be competitive in a lot of the situations that we won, and a few of those that could be swayed by 1 or 2 plays.
What do you see on the Cropper touchdowns, both of them? Was it more angle, or was it more tackling, or both?
Great throw, first of all. A back shoulder slot fade about 30 yards down the field on the sideline, and then a catch, turn, and stay in bounds for a touchdown. I mean, it's pretty a pretty elite play to begin with, I think, by 2 elite players. But then we have to finish the play. We got to have fundamentals. We got to finish that play on the sidelines. And Dre knows that. We talked about it. We've seen a couple of those plays where we've got to be able to communicate certain things that are fundamental, especially late in the game versus really good players. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a couple things we can get better at right there.
Logan graded out really high on PFF at left tackle. So I wanted you to react to that. But Davion's actually looks like he's having a little trouble with the switch to right tackle. So kind of that balance.
Yeah, and I think you said trouble. Give me an example of trouble. Are you looking at PFF grades?
Yeah.
Yeah, just making sure. So the
I'm
PFF
no line
grade,
expert, so I'll lean on
the
that.
Brandon Logan has done a fantastic job at left tackle of coming in. Really hadn't played much all season and filling in. Davion moving to right as a different position, different side. And then he's dealing with one of the better DNs in the conference over there on that side this game. So again, Brandon did a nice job. Davion, there's some plays for sure that he's going to want to continue to develop at right side. I think the positive and everything especially for Davion, he's a guy that's getting evaluated at the next level. And I think to show position flexibility for him is huge. And so he's encouraged by the opportunity to be able to be out there for whatever it may take, another week, another 2 weeks, another 3 weeks, to be able to put that on tape. And I think he's excited about going out there and doing that. There's going to be matchups that are going to give and take there, and I think that both those guys with 2 more weeks are going to really help us.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Leif, just how exciting is it to go back to Hawaii with everything that's on the line, not just the rivalry, but obviously you guys need some wins here. Just how exciting is this environment going to be?
Yeah, I think with this team, knowing that our backs are against the wall, we kind of come out of the corner, come out swinging, especially with a bowl game on the line. We got to take it one at a time, and I think the team realizes how big this game is, So going back home to where I'm from, touching on that, I think I'm going to have a lot of people there, a lot of family, so it's really, I'm going to feel real comfortable there, especially that's where I grew up playing, so yeah.
How would you describe the football culture with just growing up there and being back there and just being surrounded by family? Does that kind of take you back, or?
Yeah, the coaches are saying it's probably one of the hardest places to play, especially this week. But I think for me it's where I feel most comfortable, especially with a lot of family around me and especially a lot of my teammates, especially pushing me on and especially knowing how good we can be as a team, especially if we play together. I think we'll be really comfortable in that environment, especially knowing that we're coming off a pretty good offensive game, so I think we should be just fine.
Darius, could you talk about what you see on film from their offense?
A lot of run. Their O-line isn't the biggest dudes or anything, but they seem pretty disciplined in what they do, and I think our biggest thing is stopping the run first and making them throw the ball.
So a question for both of you guys. Obviously the sense of urgency has probably been there all season, but now that you have to get 2 wins in the last 2 games, does it feel any different kind of message, locker room, any of that?
No, I don't think the message changes. I think we just got to those are just handful of plays that we want back, especially against Fresno. I think it's just a matter of execution now. There's no more we'll get it next week or stuff like that. I think the importance of that one play that we need is very vital to this team's success.
Yeah, and pretty much what he said. There's no re-attacking for the next week. It's just attack, and we have to be disciplined in what we do and execute. So.
Leif, how much talking goes on the field against Hawaii? You know a lot of those guys?
Oh yeah, I know a good amount of everybody, both offense and defense. So definitely going to be chopping it up with them in between each play. Going to say what's up. Definitely look at the sideline when we end up on run towards that way. I'm just take a peek and talk a little words, not good words, but just trying to give them some stuff. But yeah, that's about it.
And another question for both of you: where's your mindset at heading into this week's game?
I'm excited for it. I think it's pretty cool to have the opportunity to come in and, if we win these 2 games, go to a bowl game and stuff. And I think the whole defense is excited for it. I know, especially for the D-line, we've been working really well together and just excited to go against a team that runs and stuff.
Sorry, what was the question?
Where's your mindset at heading into this week's game?
I think as a team, I think we're fine, especially knowing that, like I said earlier, our backs are against the wall, and the most important 2 games that we have coming up. But I think just coming back to our fundamentals and our basics can win us this game. Especially if we play together, nobody could really like hang with us, I would say. So, yeah.
Leif, what you seen from Doug on Friday night and just him trying to find his swag, his consistency right now?
Yeah, I think Doug, I know it's been out for a while, so I think just him getting back into the groove of things just takes a little longer than we thought. But I think Doug is still trying to fight through a lot of adversity that he has with some of the other stuff going on with him. But I think with him more settling into the offense now, I think he should be having a really good week this week.
Leif, at halftime, we saw where Doug was being helped off the field. What happened? How did he come back in the second half? Are those cramps or?
I don't really see him limp off the field, but
yeah,
talking to him in halftime, we kind of brought it up together as an offense and tried to like light a spark in the offense. And I think we did a pretty good job in terms of coming out the half. But
is he relatively healthy?
Yeah, I think Doug is good. So
must have been cramps, right?
Yeah, probably just cramps or hydration issue.
Leif, can you talk about just the juice, the spark that Aiden brings, on 4th and 1 in the fourth quarter, just kind of the leadership you see from him that we may not see every day?
Yeah, so Aiden is a really good back, especially in control down or just really first down to fourth down. I think just the consistency that he brings from first down to fourth down, the juice that he brings, and just give him the ball and he'll make a play. Well, as long as everybody does their job, he'll find a way to make us look good. So I think Aiden in the backfield with Doug and the backfield that we have is really successful when everybody does their job.
For Leif, why is Brandon Logan coming out of the gates here with success?
I think Brandon has been really good, especially being a 2 all year. I think he's been practicing with a lot of intent, and he's always been ready to go. We always, as ones, the starting O-line always tells Bilo that he's got to be ready to go. You're always 1 snap away. So I think with our mindset, like Coach emphasized that everybody's 1 snap away, and we kind of seen that earlier in the season where we were down with a lot of injuries and a lot of guys had to kind of step up. So I think Bilo was ready to go at any moment.
The 2 4th down plays for you guys in the fourth quarter. So Robbins bust out, a 60-plus yard run on one of them. They stop you on the other. Can you talk about what worked and then what didn't work?
I mean, the first 4th down to go to the touchdown, I mean, that was just execution, and I think the second one was just lack of execution. I think that's what it was. Just we weren't all on the same page, and when we're not on the same page, we don't really succeed. So I think that's why they stopped us.
For Darius, how frustrating are these 1-possession games, losses?
I mean, they're always frustrating, but we just gotta do our job and what we can do to help prevent those kind of games and stuff. And just, I mean, you can only do so much as a D lineman, but they're definitely frustrating. But we're
just little details that you need to clean up.
Right.
Well, 2 back-to-back strong defensive games after Notre Dame. Talk about maybe the switch or the more effort you're seeing from the D-line just coming off the bye week.
Yeah, well, another big part of that is, we got Tavis and Elio back from injuries, and so now we have a lot more depth, going from playing 60 downs in a game to, splitting it up evenly. We're able to get some rest and stuff in between, and the D-line, the group is we're so close, and we communicate well, and we're very disciplined, and we have a great coach who never lets us get complacent or anything. So.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.